Hey, welcome to iFoster Futures. Hi, Keira. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you, Serita? Hi, everyone.
Great. And listen, what a guest we have for all of you today. Such a success, so much to cover. We are thrilled to introduce you all to Luke Fox, or Fox as he likes to be known. Fox is a former foster youth. He's turned into a successful tech entrepreneur who runs his own multi-million-dollar drone airspace security company. Yeah, I had to pause over that. The drone airspace security company. And he's already been named Forbes 30 under 30 young entrepreneurs to watch. And as well, he's a fierce advocate for children's rights. We've got so many questions to ask Fox. We better get going. So here's a little snippet about who Luke Fox is, the CEO of WhiteFox Defense. Welcome, Fox. How are you on this lovely Friday morning?
Oh, it's so beautiful. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're thrilled. So tons to cover. So let's jump right in and let's start with the why and the how. You are on the leading edge of drone airspace security. How did you ever discover that drone technology and cybersecurity was where your talents lay?
Yeah, I think it goes back to I really wanted to back when I was a teenager, actually when I was in the foster care system, I started to get really interested in drone technology and thinking about, what are the technologies that are really going to help people and help save lives. And so I started started getting into drones, looking up, how are drones made? And I was like, wow, this is actually really accessible. I got connected. I started talking to people, got connected with some friends. They connected friends of friends. And all of a sudden I'm in the middle of the redwoods up in Northern California, working with some scientists and developing drones. And it was a long journey to get there. But, I think the big thing was I just told everybody, hey, I'm really interested in drones, and just made that part of my identity of like, drones are really neat. I want to learn more, and took every opportunity to learn more about them. But as I did that, I realized that drone technology could be used to do a lot of harm, right? People could use them in a lot of bad ways. And so the same drive that originally caused me to want to make drones so that they could be used to save lives and improve the world, I realized that until first we were able to trust them, we weren't able to do that. And kind of going to bringing in the foster care element, I think a lot of that does come from what I think one of the lovely gifts of being in the foster care system and going through my, the history of the abuse and neglect is you develop what's known in the industry as an adversarial mindset, which is a really polite way of saying thinking like a criminal, but not doing criminal things. Which it's the reality of, when you grow up in a dysfunctional world, when you grow up where the people that you're supposed to trust, the authority figures, are anything but trustworthy. When you grow up and the resources that you should have there aren't there, you develop this way of thinking. And this way of thinking has been one of the biggest contributors to my success. And I say success with an asterisk, because it's a long path to true success. But that I think that's just one of the great gifts that is often overlooked when people say, look at foster youth and former foster youth. Like, we have something that is extremely rare. And I could tell you, going through and the cybersecurity programs at universities, that's the one thing that they say the first day of every class is, we can teach you all these things, but there's one thing we can't teach you, and that's the adversarial mindset. Thinking, how could this go wrong? What could somebody do to abuse this? And I think it's one of the many gifts.
gifts, maybe a perverse gift, like it shouldn't be a gift, but it is. I appreciate that. But tell me, you know, how did you get your hands on a drone? Like, foster youth don't even have access to laptops, and
Yeah.
here you are building incredible drones and defensive drones.
Yeah, well, it's been a long path, but the excuse me. One of the big things for me was I realized that the key to being to doing something that I enjoyed is really developing something that I was passionate about, knowing that there's something, even if it was wrong. Right at first, when I was really young, I said, I'm going to become a cop. Well, then I got diagnosed with illness that precluded that on many accounts, and so I was like, hey, well, I can't be a cop. I'm going to become a cyber cop. Right, I'm going to go into cyber forensics, and and of course, I didn't have access to a lot of the means to do so, but I just, I told people that. Everybody asked, like, what do you, and it became part of my identity. And then I refined that and then said, well, okay, I'm going to go into, like drone security. And, you just continue to refine that. But, by making something your brand, it really, and making your passion and your obsession, like opportunities find you. Like when you talk to enough people, you have no idea the person you're talking to, what their father does or what their uncle does, or, like what they, just got for Christmas and you can maybe play with. Like it's the opportunities open up when you put yourself out into the world rather than having this assumption that, well, in this exact moment in time, I don't have a laptop. Well, who cares what you have right now? What matters is where you're going to be in the future.
Yeah, that is so awesome to hear. And just going on to learn a little bit more about WhiteFox, tell us a little bit more about what being the CEO of WhiteFox Defense is like. What excites you about what you do?
Yeah, what excites me is I get to do, I get to do what I love every single day. I get to work with amazing people and who all have a shared passion to make an impact on the world. It's the best job ever, and it's because I love it. I could tell you that there's 1,000 people that you put into this seat right now, and they'd say it's the worst job ever, right? It's simply I've made it work for me, and I think a lot of that is I never graduated college. I dropped out of high school. I dropped out of college. And, a string of failures there, I guess. And I never, when I went to college, I never took a single business class, right? It's about paving your own way and really identifying what is it that I uniquely bring to the table. And then who are people around me who enjoy doing the things I don't like to do, right? Because if I don't like to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, and speaking of that, about the people that works with you, WhiteFox Depends have a powerhouse executive team, and you lead a team of senior executives who have more years of experience in the aerospace and defense industry than you have been alive.
Yeah.
So how did you build such a team, and how did you manage a team with such experience and age?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the values, the valuable pieces of not having a formal education in a lot of things is that I'm not encumbered, right? And so it's really laying a vision for the future that's not dependent on what are we doing today. And you could ask each of them; they probably have their own answers. But I can tell you that being able to have a vision for where I want to be myself and being able to lay that out and visualize that and where I want the company to be in 5 years, in 20 years, right? Being able to truly express that and not just, I want to be in a better place. I want the world to look like this, right? So for example, for me, that's right now today. And I'll ask you, Keira, if you were in your bedroom and you looked outside your window and you saw a drone hovering there, how would you feel?
I would feel worried. Just like, why is this here? Who's spying on me? Or, what's it doing here? I would just feel cautious about it.
Yeah, right. What's it doing here? Is it
Yeah.
spying on me? How do I know if it's spying on me? What can I do about it? Right. And so
Right.
like that's what exists today. And it's unfortunate, but that's the like kind of the status quo. But it doesn't have to be that way. And in fact, it can't be that way. And so in order for us to truly adopt as a society drone technology, you can't be saying that. I can't be saying that. Nobody should be saying that, right? But the fact is, even I feel that way. When I see a drone, I'm like, dang, why is this drone here? Is it spying on me? What's going on? And so in order to do that, I said, okay, well, what do we have to do to truly embrace this technology? Well, we have to be able to stop the bad guys. We have to be able to build, at its core, transparency and accountability. Two things that I believe, once you have transparency and accountability, you have trust. Once you have trust, you have unlocked huge amounts of potential. And so it really simply just comes down to that. I forget the original question, but
but what's so cool is you're so absolutely passionate about this. Yeah, you're like Captain America saving the world from because being a techie myself, new technology can be scary. And the first adopters, the early adopters of new tech tend to be the bad guys.
Yes.
That's the way it is. So I think you wanting to pivot and turn it on its head and make it something that is ubiquitous means that you gotta go up against the bad guys. So totally
precisely.
Get it.
So and being able to have that, and for I think when you ask, like, you know, all these amazing people that I get to work with every single day, why are they here? It's because they see that vision. That vision's clearly communicated, and they know that what they're doing, each and individual one of them, is making an impact on those around them and on building that future, that vision that we laid out. And I think that's so true. I think that's true not just in business, but that's true for all of my relationships. Right? Like my personal relationships, my family relationships, my romantic relationships. It's just, it's not like the present moment. It's important to be present, but it's also important to paint that vision of why are we doing this? What are we investing in? Right? We're putting our time, our resources, our money into this. Why? Right? It's that vision of this is where we're going. And what we're doing today is impacting that future.
Okay, so now let me ask you, let's move right back to when all you had was maybe a piece of paper, a flashy PowerPoint presentation, and you were trying to sell this vision. Because let me tell you, you're not in like the catering business or anything like that, you know, painting, whatever. This costs money, upfront investment in what you're trying to do. How did you get investment? And VCs are, you know, they're probably the stingiest people out there.
Well, you know, VCs are stingy, but they also they're sure maybe they're stingy, but truly what they are is they're focused on where can I put my money to make the biggest impact, to make the biggest returns. And when we look at that, you know, when I first started WhiteFox, I can't tell you how many people, how many mentors of mine, how many people told me I was ridiculous. I can't tell you how many interventions I had. I don't know if I'm going to regret saying this, but I've had mentors sit me down, have an intervention that I need to stop doing drugs. I'm not joking. I was like, I literally have I've never even smoked. I've never even like secondhand smoked a joint. No against anybody who has, but like literally like these people telling me that I'm crazy. And it's like, and I thought, well, you know, maybe I am, but at least I'm excited about it. Right. And so because of that, well, so it was a long journey, but one of my mentors sat me down and said, okay, let's lay this out. Let's figure out how much money you need to do this, right? Because it's going to take a lot of money. And I was like, okay, so we sit it down, we add up all the costs, and it's like, okay, to get to a product that's going to like a minimal viable product, right? It's going to cost, okay, let's see, $15,000. I'm like, $15,000? That's more money than I know what, like, I've never seen that. Where am I going to get $15,000? So I go out and I start telling people, okay, it's going to cost $15,000. This is what it's going to take. You know, talking to my friends, who do you know? Do you have a rich uncle? Who do you know, who's who? Talking to people at the university. Okay, you know, doing this. Who wants to get on board with building the future? Because this is the future. It's going to happen whether you get involved or not. Do you want to be a part of it? And so in doing so, was able to bring in bring in some initial check. Well, I then from there I went and I had no idea how to actually raise money. Like, what happens if somebody said yes? So I went to this workshop and I sat down and I came in late, sat down, and they're talking about it. Okay, they said convertible notes, and they talked about convertible notes, which is a financial term, and this is how it works. This is what it looks like. And then I was like, awesome, this is all I need to know. So I came in late, I left early, and I went up and called people. I was like, hey, I got a convertible note. You guys want to, you want your uncle to participate? You want this person to participate? And was from there, was able to gather some money. And it's kind of just has continued to snowball from there because, one of the things is they say that, it's all about your network. Well, your network, some people are born with a network for sure. But while that is certainly true, you can make a network, right? Like that's just the starting place, but you can build a network. And I have such an amazing network of people because you put yourself out there. You ask people for help. Like, people love helping people. And one of the things about like successful people, right? The people who can help you is they're probably successful because they know how to say no. So ask them and they'll tell you no if they don't want to help you, right? But putting yourself out there, it doesn't hurt to ask. And I can't tell you how many times I've been surprised somebody said yes. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. Well, awesome. Now, quick side note, I said $15,000 and it blew my mind. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're at 15,000, all that. Well, turns out, funny enough, that it actually took a little bit more than $15,000. It took $15 million.
I was going to say, yeah, 15,000 is a little on the light side.
Yeah, but that's the thing is one of the things that I think has contributed to where I am is I am ignorant and stupid and like ignorant and stupid enough to believe like that had somebody told me that it literally would have taken an act of Congress, not just one, but 2 acts of Congress, that I had to spearhead and work with people in Washington, D.C. in Congress, at the White House, in order to actually be able to sell a product. I maybe would, have been like, eeks. But I was stupid enough to be like, oh, figure it out. Let's figure it out. Let's make this happen. And if somebody told me from the beginning it's going to cost $15 million, they would say, it's going to take more time and more money than you know. Well, you just keep on going and you just keep on figuring out. And you know what? You just keep problem after problem. Just like, and that's one of the things that I think foster care really does for people is you have no idea what's going to happen the next day. You have no idea what home you're going to be put in. You have no idea what arbitrary rule apparently that foster family has that they forgot to tell you, right? That you broke and now you're in trouble. Like you're used to living with so much uncertainty. And because you live in that uncertainty, you develop resilience. And that resilience, that is what allows you to succeed. Because success is not this. Success is this. I can tell you every single day has ups and downs. Like every single, like I could cry every single day and I could whoop and sing, rejoice multiple times every single day. And it's only because it's like, you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Right? Like you can't fear failure. And like for being in foster care, like, foster care system, there's like, that's you're like, okay, you feel like you don't have a family, you don't have support, you don't have love, like you don't feel safety. Well, that's I think one of the greatest things is when you don't have a safety net, you're like, so what? Like you don't go and like, I'm going to go run home and go and, live in a mansion. You're like, I'll go back and live in my van. Like, what's the worst that could happen? I'll survive. I know I can survive. When you know you can survive, you put yourself out there and you're willing to take calculated risks. And those calculated risks pay off huge dividends, much more than going through life just safely.
Amazing. And since you have been taking risk and just asking people, just to do this for you, you are an incredible success. And you're not even 30 yet. In fact, you are named one of the Forbes magazine's 30 under 30 leaders. But you must have like hit bumps in the road along the way. So what failures stand out for you and how did you overcome them throughout your journey?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I fail every day. And most of what I do is a failure. What's a good failure? I mean, life is just figuring out. Okay.
Well, did you ever feel
Yeah.
like just giving up? Like, did you ever, and how did you pull yourself out from that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've like giving up from the business, giving up from life. It's like, it's looking for that easy out for sure. I could remember just crying and just being like, this is the end, right? And then and just feeling like everything was falling apart in the company, and this was in the earlier days, but feeling like everything was falling apart, nothing's working, right? We're all and just realizing like, so what? Like, am I like, is this real? Like, am I really gonna like kill myself because of this? Like, because I could survive till tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow somebody will call, right? Something will happen. I mean, I could tell you just from maybe a less dramatic example, but I can't tell you. Well, I won't say. But there's been times where we're on the day that payroll's going out, and I'm like, we don't have any money for payroll. What's going to happen, right? This is a problem, and you're like, and if you push all the way to the end, and every single time it always works out. Every single time the money comes in, you just keep pushing keep pushing. And and that's one of the things, like when you're working, and I don't necessarily suggest this for everybody because right now I'm paying the health consequences of this. So I'm not saying repeat this or do this, but it's kind of worked for me. Is like, if you put yourself and you work and you dedicate yourself to something every single waking moment, and that's everything you think about, right? When you do that and you're working 12 to 16 hours, 7 days a week towards building something, you're either going to do it really well, you're going to do something, right? And you're going and people will respect you for it, and you'll get somewhere. I don't know where, but you'll get somewhere. And I think that's just the thing, is like, you just keep pushing forward, even in those moments of failure, because you realize like failure is not permanent until you're dead. And if you off yourself, then that's accepting failure. Otherwise, you just keep pushing forward. And I say it kind of flippantly and jokingly, and I don't mean to be, maybe I'm just a little callous to it, because I've been there, and I've luckily failed. That's, I guess, one of the best things that I failed at. Maybe that's a little too dark.
You're good.
I understand. I mean, it's. I love how you flip the script essentially on what foster care is, because it ain't fun. It ain't any, it's not a walk in the park. You don't have a trust fund. You don't have a trust fund. You got nobody to run home to. You don't even have a home, but you flipped it into that can be the ultimate in personal development. That you come out stronger, braver, fearless, risk-taking, out there. You can get your hustle on, and I love that. So my question to you is, I know that you're a huge child advocate. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things you're working on, and how can you get this message, the Get Your Hustle message, out to youth across the country?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the key thing, is like, going back to kind of what we talked about at the beginning, like, you can, if you work hard enough, you do the right things, you put yourself in the right position, and you have that hustle, like, you will find that success, whatever success means for you. And you can get the house, you can get the mansion, you can get what other people are born with, but what they will never have is the resiliency and that desire, that deep burning passion in your heart to get to whatever that success is. Now, for me, it's not a mansion. I'm not striving for a mansion, but whatever it is for people, you can have that. Like, all those things that they're born with, you can achieve. What they are missing, you have. Now, with that being said, in terms of the advocacy, and the system is broken. We can all agree the system is broken. And we can whine and we can complain about it, and we can do those things for sure. But we can also say, you know what, the system's broken, but just like something that's broken, you can fix it, right? And so I have found that foster youth, current and former foster youth, have the best insights into why it's broken, right? Right? Each of you out there, you know how it's broken, and it's impacted you in a very specific way and very specific things. And so for me personally, what that looked like was when I was in the foster care system, there was a loophole. Excuse me. There was a loophole in the visitation rights or for foster youth where I wasn't able to see my younger sister, my baby sister, who I had raised from a little baby, premature little baby. And I wasn't able to see her. My biological mother was able to continue the abuse by blockading my efforts to see her. And so what it turned out is it was a loophole. It was like this law that it was written in a way, and my biological mother, she was a social worker, so she knew exactly what she was doing here. And so I went to my lawyer and I said, okay, what would this law have to look like? What would have to change in order for it to work? In order to close this? And they said, oh, it would just be this, and it's a simple sentence, like a single sentence. Okay, great. So then I went on Google and I started looking up like child welfare, advocacy groups and lawyers and all these. And I started meeting with them. I was like, hey, here's my problem. Isn't this really stupid? Like even the judge and everybody says this is clearly not the way it's supposed to be. But it is. It's broken. So let's fix it, right? And here's the exact language that needs to fix it. And so in doing so, fast forward, put a bill together. Worked with these organizations, and you know how many times people said no, or they're like, it's not really sexy enough, or they didn't quite say it like that, but it wasn't like, it wasn't big enough. It was just because it was a single little, thing, and they're like, oh, how many people are actually really affected by this, and so it's fine. Okay, great. Thank you for telling me no. Now I can move on to the next opportunity, the next person that could potentially help. And so in doing that, finally got connected with the right people, got a bill put together. And then at the same time, it happened that there was another organization that was putting together a bill. And I said, hey, let's join efforts, right? So I was able to slip mine into theirs, get on, drive their traction. And now in California state law, fixed that loophole, right? It got passed through the legislator in California. I was able to testify before the legislator and tell them this is why it's important. Right. And it's like, and all of that. And I was never able to use it. By the time it actually got enacted, I was 19, unfortunately. But as soon as it was enacted, I was told within a month it had been used to enable siblings to be able to have contact. I still haven't seen my sister. I haven't seen my sister since I was put into the foster care system. And it's just, it's ridiculous. But they're solvable problems. And foster youth are the experts. You out there are the experts. You know what's wrong. And there's so many people out there who are super excited to fix this broken system, right? Because people are here. They want to help. They just have to know how to help. And it's your job to help them.
And I love the fact that it doesn't matter how big or small it is. If it impacts one, that's sufficient.
Absolutely.
Right? And I agree with you. You do get, oh, it's not sexy enough. It's not the in thing. Exactly how many kids is it going to impact? That doesn't matter. If it impacts one, that's more than enough.
Yes.
Completely agree with you. So sorry about your sister, but you made a huge change in other people's lives, and that's phenomenal. So are you working on anything right now in terms of advocacy work?
Yes. Yes, I can't announce it yet. But working on my next project, which I'll share at a high level, which is there are, as all of your listeners know and could probably relate to, and self-identify as, there are so many incredible youth that are in the system or that are just coming out of the system who have an incredible amount of potential. and they just need the right connections. They just need a little bit of a kickstart. They need the right resources. And so I'll say this. They'll soon, there's actually a lot of great organizations out there, and there'll soon be one other one, and that's helping to address a very particular challenge that I found in the system in order to really kickstart the career paths of foster youth. So I can't say much more yet, but it's going to be exciting, and maybe we'll chat about it when it launches.
That's fantastic. Yes. So that's when it launches, you got to come back to us and tell us all about it. We'd be thrilled to hear about it. Make a big deal of it. I'm super excited. I've got I don't know about you, Keira, but in my head, I'm like thinking all these sort of things of what it could be. But thank you so much, Fox. This has been fantastic. Love your energy. Love how you have flipped the negativity of foster care into these are the strengths it gives you and how you can use those strengths to get where you wanted to go. And you certainly have. So thank you so much. I love the get out there, network. Doesn't matter. People can say no. It doesn't matter. You just go on to the next person and you go and go and go until you get your passion. So there you go, people. That's what you need to do. You can dream big. You can achieve your dreams. Look, Fox did it himself, CEO of WhiteFox Defense. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Access iFoster self-directed job skills training at our website, www.ifoster.org, or on your iFoster app.